Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond Outside the Box. Today's guest is Jay Moore. Welcome, Jay. Hey,
What's happening,
Jay.
LaFeast? What's going
How are
on?
you?
Man, I'm
Good. How are you?
outstanding. Just
Good.
outstanding today. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with who are you and what is your business, brand name, and what services or products do you offer?
Wow, that's a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you as much as I can on that question. Who am I? So Jay Moore, also known as the Healthy Accountant, and I've been in the accounting and tax space for the past 20 some years, maybe 25 or 26. I can't remember. It's just gone by so fast. And, it's just been an amazing ride. And what's happened in that time period is that I had a job like everybody gets. You get a job and next you get into the workforce. And as I was in the workforce, something happened to me. I'm not sure if anybody can relate. I got fired. Bam. Fired one time, fired two times, and then I got laid off. And then something happened. Something was like, this is interesting. That's something I say a lot. So I said, this is interesting. Then if I just kind of keep going back a little bit more, there was a time when I wanted to start a business, right? This is, you know, I had a job and then I wanted to start a business. But here's the thing. Isn't business risky? Like business a lot of times is risky. And so I thought it was risky. I didn't start it. But then after I got laid off, I knew something had to change. Now I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I'm not sure if anybody knows where that's from, where that is. It's right across the bridge from New York. Growing up there, I was around a lot of business people. Unfortunately, they weren't the best business people to be around. I had a brother who was, a street entrepreneur. And I was around this, but imagine all of this swirling around within you. And then next thing you know, you go into things. Wouldn't that kind of affect your life? It did affect me. I'll get into that later. But that's just kind of like where I came from, Newark, New Jersey, went to school, did all that stuff, got a degree in accounting, got certified as a CPA, got fired, got laid off, decided to go into business, and the healthy accountant is my brand, right? That's me. That's literally my life, which is I'm an accountant by trade, but I had to find something else that would really drive me in business. And it just so happened to be health. Now, here's what it led me to. As I started to get my body in shape, then I had to get the inside of me in shape. And then what I realized is that most of us have a hard time personally growing because we stop growing after we've done some schooling. And so what I realized, man, this healthy accounting thing, which is my personal brand, is a way that I help entrepreneurs um, personally grow so their business can grow. Because without personal growth, there'll be limited business growth. And so that's the brand. We help people in traditional things like accounting, if you know what that is, right? Accounting and taxes. Everybody pays taxes, right? Death and taxes is sure. And we also coach
Yes.
entrepreneurs. So we help entrepreneurs along that journey by coaching them, helping them to save a lot of money on taxes. Right? Taxes is one of the number one expenses or number two expense that you're going to pay, and if you don't get a hold of it, you're going to pay one third of your life. Say
Mm.
this with me, write it down. One third of my life is going to taxes. For every 2 hours out of
One
five,
third.
for every 2 hours out of five that you spend, you're going to pay taxes. So third of your life goes to taxes. So the first part of the year, first 4 months of the year, you're paying off Uncle Sam, and then you can get some left. So you're in the government's pocket. We so so along the journey of becoming this person, the healthy accountant. I've written books, right? So I have three books here that anyone can get access to. This is my latest book, Beyond Tax Strategy. Beyond Tax Strategy. This book is it's kind of like an introduction to what tax strategy is, but it also allows and helps people to understand that being entrepreneurial yields opportunity, not danger. So you should go into
Mm.
business. My first book was this one here, Next Level Faith. Guys, you need faith if you're going to be successful in business. Look at that, Lafise got it right there. Then there's
Yes.
this book here, Living Life on the Next Level. This is what I call the process. That's what
Mm.
this is. This is the process that I personally used to to literally just start growing myself, infinitely. So all those books are on Amazon. You can definitely check those out.
All right. That's excellent. And just really quickly, this book is absolutely amazing. I've been reading portions of it at night. So you guys want to get into this. All right.
Nice.
So can you tell the viewers a bit about who you were well, you kind of did that prior to becoming an entrepreneur. Um,
Yeah, we can get deeper in that.
okay.
Um, so okay, so I'll go all the way back to college, right? So in college, you know, I was in there for accounting, and in my accounting class sat my wife. At the time, she wasn't my wife, right? So, but we kind of got to liking each other, and then next thing you know, we're talking about stuff, and we were talking about. I remember the last year that we were there, 1995. We talked about having an accounting business together, and it was like, yeah, it sounds good, right? But here's the thing: most of us think about business in some form or fashion, but
Mhm.
here's the problem. Y'all ready for the problem? I had a really good job, just like many people have really good jobs. Now, before I was fired or laid off, that like the last job I had was, I thought, just my dream job. I mean, I was $80,000 a year. That was in 2000, between 98 and 2001. I thought I'd hit it. I was like, man, 80,000 a year. Most of my peers are probably doing 40,000. I'm like, I'm doing $80,000 a year in 1990, between 98 and 2001. Here was the problem. I was making that money. So after work, even though what me and wifey was like, hey, we should start a business. I would come home, she would come home, we'd be tired, like getting through traffic. We didn't have any kids, thank God, at the time. Getting through traffic, just trying to make it, get home. You tired? I'm like, I don't have time to work on anything because it's going to start over tomorrow. And then when the weekends came, that was just the time that it was like, that's what's the word I want to use here? It's like, the get out of jail free card. You're out of jail for the weekend. Because that's really what the job is, man. You in jail. So,
Mhm.
and then Friday and
Mhm.
Saturday, everybody's like, thank God it's Friday. Yes, we're out of here for 2 days and then come back. So that was the obstacle that I had to get over. Now, here's the thing. I knew I wanted to go into business, but I did not do anything. And so I would challenge anybody here who has a job, who's looking, literally, you're looking to do something, you're looking to start a business, grow a business. That's the best time when you have a job. So I got laid off, and that's when the rubber hit the road because I took a temp job for a few months just to kind of get my bearings. And after the 3 months was up, I realized that something had to give. Now, lucky for me, I didn't have a parachute. So when I went to my wife at the time, we'd been married. That was 2001. So we were married 2 years at the time. I said, honey, I think I want to start this business. She says, all right, well, you can go ahead and start it. I'm gonna keep my job because that job could pay the mortgage just in case. So she kept a job. I started the business 2002, and it was the best decision I ever made, right? Because
Mhm.
here's the thing about doing anything that's worth it, even though it's going to be a challenge, even though you may find yourself like, oh my goodness, this seems hard. Oh man, but it's worth it, right? But here's what here's what happened along the way. Things change, and all of a sudden, I get into other businesses. I became entrepreneurial because I went into business, and that took me down other paths where I was able to actually do pretty well for myself.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Um, so how long has entrepreneurship been a desire of yours?
Hmm. As long as I can remember, um, I can tell you, and I didn't become aware of this probably until the last couple of years. Back when, like, I was a little kid. Now, nobody in my family were entrepreneurs, so it wasn't like I had anybody to look at. Outside of my brother, but I can't count that. I remember like getting a $20 bill and looking at the $20 bill, crisp $20 bill, knowing, oh my goodness, there's my future. I could see my future in this $20 bill. But I didn't understand what this was. I didn't know about no business. I didn't know about no calling. I didn't know about no purpose. And all of this, none of that was in my mind. I just knew that there was a future where I'd be like massively rich, like massively wealthy, doing some amazing things. But I was sitting in, at the time, probably a two-bedroom apartment in Newark, New Jersey. That's where we lived. I guess it was five of us back then. And it's just like, when you open your eyes, if you were dreaming, you're like, oh, that was just a dream. That's not what happened. Or you don't know, but you're just like, man, like how likely is this really to happen? When you look around and see my parents, good Christian people, just they were some of the best Christians I knew. And I was like, man, but we don't got no money. Like we pretty broke, and everybody around us is pretty broke too. And then it seemed like that was a badge of honor. Like, oh, we don't need
Mm,
all this stuff. All of this stuff is going to burn up. Because that's what we heard in our church. All this stuff going to burn up. So it's no point in getting rich.
yeah.
You might as well just live a secure life. And that's what I heard all those years. But I said, but something in me was rejecting. Like, no, no, no. I got to do something different. So just starting there, that desire that there will be that there was a pull. Now here's the thing: I wanted to be a doctor. Like that's what I really wanted to do. I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor because hey, back then doctors made the most money. You might as well go into that field. It was my senior year of high school. We were registering that year, and I looked at my mom and says, Mom, I do not want to go, I do not want to be a doctor anymore because these science classes are stupid. Like I do not like anatomy, physiology, chemistry. I don't like any of that stuff. She says, all right, well, my mom's so supportive. She pulls out the book where we can find elective classes. She says, hey, look at this one. This is called accounting. I was like, really? What is that? She says, well, she didn't really know much, but she says, I think accountants like count money for people. Tell them how things. I said, well, at least I'm around the money. I said, well, that's cool. I said, is there anything else special about it? She says, well, oh, you can be certified in it. Oh, I can get a certification. Oh, that's cool. And she was like, a lot of people have a hard time passing it. I said, oh, I'm gonna pass that test. So I immediately was drawn to it. And in the class, me and my friend, my best friend, we both took the class. We had to run a makeshift business during the year.
Mm.
So we were selling like food and we had to keep record of everything. I was like, man, this is so fun. It wasn't the accounting part that I loved. It was actually the business part that was fun because, hey, we was ringing the cash register up. Money, people was paying us for our food and stuff because we went to a boarding school. So folks was paying for these dorm. I'm paying for our dinners that we were making. I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. Well, here's the thing. I forgot about all of that because by the time I got to college, it was just about basketball. I was playing basketball, played basketball, and that became my focus. So by the time I finished school, it was just go get a job. And, I had the conversation with my wife, but it was just like, ah. But by the time it happened, I knew that something would give. I just didn't know how it would give. I didn't know how it would work. And that's usually what happens in entrepreneurship. Um, it's nothing dangerous about it because what happens when you go in, you you start to learn things about yourself. You start to learn things
Mhm.
about business. You start to learn things about your true desires and like how to connect the dots between your desires. And if you have a business, then the people's desires, because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, just because I want something doesn't mean that I'll get it. It means that as long as I have something that other people really desire or other people need or other people want, they will be happy to exchange with me their money for what I have. Now, it took me a while to learn that because business is one of these things where you have to learn really what drives business. And what drives business is commerce. So it's like, hey, somebody has money. Somebody has something that that money needs to pay for. And so as a business person, you have to say to yourself, okay, what do I have and what do people want to pay? And I want to have this particular price. I want to have because I want to make a certain amount of money. Now the question is, are people going to buy my thing?
Mhm.
Well, as
Mhm.
long as I can show them the value in the thing, they will buy it. Because really, what I've learned is as long as the value exceeds, it has to exceed the amount of money.
Mhm.
Once and usually to the tune of 5 to 10 times. When it's 5 to 10 times more valuable, people will run, jump, sprint. They will pay for it and they won't care how much it costs. That's
Mhm.
why you can, like nice cars, Mercedes, no one questions the price. Rolls Royce, no one questions the price. Like Rolls Royce, you don't see any commercials for them. No, you don't see any commercials for Lamborghini. You don't see any commercials for the really high end stuff, Bentley and Aston Martin. These places, they don't have to. They don't have to advertise because the people that will buy their stuff, they don't care how much it costs. They just buy it.
Mhm.
So as a business person, we have to align ourselves with one in your brand. Like you want to align yourself with, if you want to be a higher price, you got to start. You got to operate a certain way and then so people can start seeing the value. So that's kind of like a long story to get to the fact that I was driven so much that I had to learn almost every way to mess up so I can
Mhm.
get to the point where I am now where I can see somewhat clearer. Like like because at the end of the day, there's no like perfection. No one is perfect.
Right.
So I'm at the point now where I can see like it's all value driven. Once you if you can show the value, people will gladly take you up on whatever offer you
Yes. Value proposition. I'm learning all about it.
have.
It's everything. Okay, thank you for that. Um, so how did your faith factor into taking that leap into entrepreneurship?
And that's a really good question because for me, it's kind of weird because everybody won't go through this, but I know I did. I had a knowing, I had a deep sense of knowing that this was the path that I had to go on. So I'll give you a story, and then I'll come back and kind of share with you how that path worked. So recently, I was headed to see my parents. And I was headed to see my parents. They live in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm driving down 95, and I had a bright idea to to bring dinner. I said, you know what? We're not going to waste any time trying to cook and have my mom cook anything and this kind. I said, well, let me go to the Cheesecake Factory that's close to where their house is. So I'm going to pick it up. I call my mom. He says, cool. We placed the order, and we had to wait about 45 minutes once we got to the Cheesecake Factory because we was fairly close. So me and my two sons, we walk in to the mall because the Cheesecake Factory in I think it was I can't remember what Christiana Mall in Delaware. It's in the mall, and so you have to walk in the mall to pretty much get to the Cheesecake Factory. So I said, let's go in the mall and walk around. So we walked in the mall, food court. No, we're not doing that. We're gonna walk straight. And as I'm walking, there's a bookstore to my right. We walked past, and I literally heard something say, "Go in the bookstore." Why? Just go in. So I go in the bookstore, and lo and behold, I find a book in there that that was almost like it was made for me. I needed to get this book, and
Mm.
I needed to read this book. And I'll share the book. The book is called The Illusion of Money. The
Mhm.
Illusion of Money. It's written by this guy named Kyle Cease. He's an act. Well, he used to be an actor, comedian. Um, and he was in a couple of movies or whatever. But I had never heard of the book, but I got in there and this is the first book I put my hand on. And when I saw it, I says, "Oh my goodness, this is why I came in here." And it's a fantastic, fantastic read. Um, the reason I tell you that story is that when you're talking about doing something, there has to be something calling you. There has to be something pulling you. So when I was going to start the business at the very beginning, even though I didn't know exactly where I was going, I knew that I had to go. So back then, it's like now I'm pretty clear about things today, but back then I wasn't clear about purpose and calling and faith. None of that. I had no faith. Had no faith, none whatsoever. I didn't have any. I just things that I knew, I just knew. So when it was time to start this business, it was like I didn't have to think. It wasn't like I prayed. I hear people say, "Man, I had to pray on it." I ain't pray on nothing, man. Get out. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't pray. I'm because prayer is good. But
Mhm.
too many good Christian people, they want to talk about I need to pray on it. What are you talking about? Let me tell you, the opportunity to go into business is it's bigger than any job you could ever get. I mean, well, let me back up. Unless you're, what is it, Steve Wozniak, with Bill Gates. No,
Mhm.
not no, 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 with Apple. Unless you're Steve
Jobs.
Wozniak or these people,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
unless you go into situations that are like going to be huge, unless you was groomed to be a CEO or to be a high C-suite type executive at a major corporation, where you can make millions and millions of dollars, you are more likely to do well in business than you are to get one of those jobs.
Uh,
So even you are more likely to do well in business than you are to be a professional athlete. So when you think about the chances that you have a greater chance of success in business than almost anything of note being noteworthy. So if think about this, if someone was making $250,000 at a job, that would be considered like, yo, they're doing well. Oh my goodness, they make a lot of money. 300,000. Oh, they making some 400,000. Oh yeah. But in business, that ain't no money. That ain't no money in business. That's
mhm.
nothing. Like, oh man, you just got the training wheels on, baby. Yeah, I mean, call me when you get to at least a million. Like, come on, like, what are you talking about? I'm just telling you how it is. So
Right.
it's a different perspective. So when you change your perspective, so to be a business person, you have to go from employee to business owner. Totally different person. Employees pretty much just show up and do a job. Business owner creates the jobs. So when
Mhm.
you put that into perspective and you say, "Hey, I want to," it's about my faith. Yeah, it is, right? But it's the kind of faith that you actually have to move and do something. If you don't do anything, don't expect anything coming back. Because
Uh,
if you read the Bible and you are a Christian or uh, someone who believes in God and someone who knows that God is real in your life, then hey, yeah, man, then put it to action. Just go for it. Don't sit around saying, "Man, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's going to work." Well, it's not going to work if you say it's not going to work. It'll work because you say it will work. So the moment I personally start realizing, the more I speak into the thing that I want and desire, I get it. I literally get it. Now, it's funny. I was just teaching about this on my podcast this morning, which I have a podcast. It's called Account for Your Life. You can check that out. I do it every single day, every year, and it's on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can find it, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. But anyway, so I was talking about this concept where you have yesterday, which a lot of times people look into the past to determine their future. You cannot look to the past to
right.
determine your future. If you are going to use you cannot judge anything by the past results. So yesterday is gone, baby. It's gone. It's done. So we have to put it to the past. One of the things that I've been teaching some of my mentees is that you have to suspend all of your old beliefs. If you have any beliefs, every belief that you have, if you want to go into business, you want to be successful, make a lot of money, change the world, be impactful, become more significant, leave a legacy. Oh, you just got to get rid of everything you ever know. What? What do you mean? I get rid of everything? Yes. You want to exchange. I had this conversation with my wife. I says, honey, wouldn't you want a closet full of all luxury gear? Like everything is just top notch. I would. All right, we got to get rid of just about everything. She was
Mm.
like, huh? I said, hey, we got to exchange. We have to say, I'm willing to give up today
Mm.
what I had for something that I know I can receive. So once we get that piece down, now we got one part down. Okay, the past is gone. Now here's the other part. When you're talking about faith, we look to the future, right? I got vision. I can see where I'm going. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Now here's the problem that people have. They can see it and they're like, yeah, I can see it. But then when they start moving today, they can't see it anymore. It's like, oh, it just seems it's happening so slow because what's happening is they have not connected their emotion with the
Mm.
vision. Because the vision, you got to go into the vision. It's got to almost seem like it's real. It has to seem real to you to the point where it changes your body composition because we are being run by our bodies. Your body runs everything. So just because you think you're thinking, ha ha ha, no, you're not. Your body's running on software programs. That's a whole nother conversation. So, so your body is running on default. So we have to go and connect with what it is that we ultimately desire, and we have to feel it on the level of like that emotional connection to where when you come back to the present, at that moment, now we're in the present, I'm more than I'm more than honored to do whatever it takes to get there because I already felt it. I know what it feels like to get there. And because I know what it feels like when I come back to do the work, that work doesn't seem hard anymore because like in another life, you already did it. You
Mm.
technically already did it. So now, because I saw it, then now I can come back and say, I already did it. So that means I know how to do it already. This is how faith works. But a lot of times we sensationalize faith and oh, it's about your religion. Oh, that's my faith. Oh, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Yeah, it is. However, you're gonna have to come back and take that hope and put that emotion with it and then actually do something. But if you don't do anything and you call yourself like a faith-driven entrepreneur, or you're using your faith, nothing's going to happen. Last thing I'm going to say about this, I prayed. I told you prayer, like you should pray. You should pray. So
Mhm.
I prayed about some things that were interesting, and here's one thing that I prayed for many years ago. I said, God, I'm getting tired. I'm sick and tired of having to play church. I'm sick and tired of having to play like I'm a Christian on Saturday or Sunday, and then I'm kind of like a business person during the week. I said, this is for the birds. I want to take my life. I just want to merge it all together. Can you merge everything together so
Mhm.
I never ever have to say, oh, I got to go get a word. Oh, it's all about this or that. It's like I'm just living the life that I know God wants me to live. And I pray for this. He says, finally, you're asking for something that makes sense. He says, all right, look, you already can do that. He said, all you got to do is just follow me. All I got to do is follow you. Just follow me. Now, okay. When he says follow me, he says, before you follow, I just want to warn you that you're going to do everything I tell you to. No questions asked. You're going to have to do it. So I was like, okay, all right, we'll just do it. All right, cool. So what do I need to do? He says, all right, well, just write down that you are my slave. I wrote it down. And I wish I would have kept the paper, man. I wasn't even thinking this is several years ago. I wrote it down, I typed it up, I signed it, and I had a board that I put it on the other side of my office, and it just sat there. That day I was born again. I was born again. I was baptized, and I never went to church. I never got a sermon. There was no emotion. I just was tired. I says, Lord, just, just take me through it. He says, I got you, bro. And then next thing you know, my life changed. And I was like, wow, look at this. All of a sudden, I'm doing all these interesting things. And he had me ask my wife to leave her job that was paying her
Mm.
$100,000 a year at the time. I had not replaced her income. And he was just like, yeah, you know what? Since you mine now, you got to do what I tell you. So I had to do what he told me. And I asked her, and she did.
Wow.
To this day, I don't know. I have no idea. I quoted a scripture. We talked for like 3 hours one Sunday. That was September 15th, 2016. 3 hours on a Sunday we talked. And at the end of the conversation, we was no closer to her saying yes. And then I blurted some scripture out. And she says, well, if you're going to say it like that, then I'm going to go ahead and do it tomorrow.
Mm.
I don't know what
Wow.
I can't remember what I said to this day. And the Holy Spirit told me, he says, well, you don't need to know that because you ain't got nothing to do with it anyway.
Mm.
So it's best you don't know because then maybe you would have tried to take credit for it because the Holy Spirit know we try to do that sometimes. So I can't take credit for it. And she left the job. And so that's how I use faith in business.
That's awesome. And the fact that she actually quit.
That's
She
well,
trusted she trusted you.
all right. So let me give you the other side of that.
Okay.
Here's what happened. She went to work the next day. I'm scared to the mug. I'm like, no, man, she really gonna do this. And the day was going. I hadn't heard from her. And then it was almost the end of the day. And she finally called me. She told me she did it, but she says, look, check out what happened though. She was waiting around for her boss, and her boss wasn't around all day, all day, all day. She's like, where the boss at? So she was feeling antsy. She goes to the bathroom and she sees her boss when she's coming out. Elevator was like maybe within 15 feet of where she was. And her boss's name was Charlene. She says, Charlene, when you get into your office, I want to talk to you. Her boss turned, looked at her and says, Janone, are you going to put your resignation in today?
What?
She had never expressed leaving ever to anybody.
Wow.
So when she heard her say that, that was
Hmm.
that was the Lord saying,
It's
it's time.
time. It's time.
It's time.
Ding. You
And
agree to move about the
she
cabin. I love
and,
it.
and she just was like, yeah, I'm gonna put my
Wow.
resignation in today. And then 2 weeks later, she was out of there, October 1st,
Wow.
2016.
Look at God.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, last question. Well,
Okay.
almost the last question. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Wow. Aspiring entrepreneurs, you have a gift. I'm gonna first tell you have a gift if you're an aspiring entrepreneur. So what that means is for me, you have a job. You have a way of properly taking care of your family. That's really good. That's called seed money. So you have something that's going to pay for you to learn how to become an entrepreneur. What I mean by that is someone's gonna pay you for your time during the day, so that then you can spend time in the evenings, weekends, building your thing. So because like me, I personally didn't have a parachute. I didn't have any pay coming in. And because I didn't have any pay coming in, I had to start making money faster than you do. You don't have to make money fast. You might want to, but you don't have to. So, as an aspiring entrepreneur, your job is you're going to have to make a decision. So, this is the first step. You have to make a decision that entrepreneurship, the idea that you have, the thing that you would like to do is something that you are not just interested in, but you really, really, really see yourself doing it. So, you have to first make that decision. It's not even a choice. Make a decision that that's what you want to do. Once you make the decision to 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 start working on this new venture, don't do it the slow way. The slow way is this way, where you try and figure everything out. And that's the slow way. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to tell you, you want to do it the moderately faster way by going and finding people who already know how to do the thing that you want to do. You have to go find them. Now, here's the good part about 2024. YouTube is free. So you could literally go to YouTube and you could find everything you need to know about the thing. Now, the only difference between that and actually finding a mentor or a coach and actually paying somebody is that it's not specific. Meaning you don't have anybody to ask questions of and make sure you're doing it right and having the accountability. You don't have that when you're not in a coaching environment. So, but if you didn't go to coaching route, you have a YouTube. So I mean, that's like the least, I mean, that's the least expensive route, but I would say bump that route. You have a job. You probably got some disposable income. Go and pay somebody for their knowledge. Pay them for their knowledge. Learn what they have. When I say learn what they have, you got to do what they did. They probably got a method and you got to do it.
Mhm.
You got to do it. I've seen so many people go into coaching programs and they get in there and, oh, it didn't work for me. I was on the phone with somebody recently. I was talking about a program that she was in, and she's an aspiring entrepreneur. She has a job, and she joined the program. She paid the money. Now, here's the thing: paying the money doesn't mean anything's going to happen. Paying the money don't mean you're going to get transformation. Paying the money just says that you paid. So you at least believed in yourself to pay. That's the first thing. Then once you pay, you have to pay attention. Pay attention.
Mhm.
You have to pay attention to everything. And when I say everything, you have to pay attention to the program. You have to pay attention to what happens around you. The reason why many people quit and they don't do the things that they have to do is because as soon as they get in, something else happens. Oh, somebody's going to get married, somebody passes away, somebody gets sick, there's a problem at work, there's a problem with the family, there's a problem with the marriages. Like all of a sudden problems come.
Mhm.
I did a podcast the other day, and I you have to use those challenges, or how do I say it? You have to use the challenges as a way of knowing that you're in the right place. The
Mhm.
challenges is the proof. It means that it's worth it because there's a challenge. If there's no challenge, then more than likely it's not going to be worth it in the end.
Wow. Wow.
So if you're aspiring, then that means that you have to literally, when you see the challenges, you got to say, oh shoot, there's a challenge. That means that this is going to work. I don't care what happened. This is going to work. I see the challenges now, but so I got to keep applying myself. Uh-oh, here's another one. You heard Debbie Downer. The Debbie Downers that come around, they got the disbelief. You have to,
Mhm.
when someone doesn't believe in you, you have to use that as fuel. I call that take the disbelief and literally deposit it in as fuel. It will be like, oh man, I can't wait. I mean, you could say you can't wait to prove them wrong, but at the end of the day, you want to prove to them, but it's proven to yourself that just because they didn't believe in you, you're like, because they don't believe in me. I know I'm going to win. I know I'm going to win.
Mhm.
So all these things will happen. They're going to happen. They're going to happen. Like it's like clockwork. I see it. And so the lady that I was talking to that I just mentioned, she gave me a story and she was telling me all the problems that came after she joined. I was like, oh, hold on a second. She was like, oh man, these things are happening. I'm like, oh, you're going to be wildly successful. She says, huh? I say, yeah, these are the precursors of being successful.
Mhm.
Challenges, obstacles, people not believing in you. She's like, oh. I said, yeah. And you have to believe in yourself, even despite those things.
Mhm.
Because by believing in yourself, man, I love this song. Oh my goodness. Who sings this song? Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Right? That song right there.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
start hearing it. Like you have to encourage yourself. You don't need nobody to encourage you. Because if that's what you need, I can guarantee you're not gonna make it. If you have to get encouragement, it's nothing like getting it. but it's nothing like needing it, because if you need it, I can guarantee it's not going to happen, right?
Mm.
And look, I can tell you, I remember when I was talking to a family member about 10 years ago. I said, man, we're going to be rich. She looked at me and she said, no, you ain't. You ain't going to be rich.
Mm.
I said, I'm not. She says, no, get out of here. That's not going to happen for you. I was like, you're actually saying that? Yeah. You're not going to be a millionaire. What? Now it hurt. I'm not going to tell you don't hurt. It hurt. But back then, I didn't know what that was. I had heard about haters and stuff like that, but I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't
Mm.
know how to use the disbelief back then. But today, if someone's asking, I'm like, ooh, that's good. You got to say, I'm blessed when they say that. Oh my goodness, I'm blessed. Woo, thank you for your blessing. They'd be like, huh? Yeah, thank you for your blessing. You have guaranteed. You're telling me it's a guarantee that I'm gonna get rich. I didn't tell you that. Well, that's what you're doing means, because when you use the disbelief as fuel, that's what it means.
Mm.
So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, these are things that you're going to encounter. But here's the last thing I'm gonna share about that. There has to be a good enough reason that this has to work for you. I mean, the reason has to be really good. And when I say really good, a lot of people say, I want to do it for my family. That's not enough. Just doing it for your family can get you to work,
Mm.
but it's not going to get you through these big obstacles that's going to come. And I'm going to tell you, man, I didn't know this until I saw it. And this was going on 11 years now. I get a call that my brother was killed, literally killed, and it's
Mm.
just like, what? What do you mean? Like this was mind boggling. Like and it wasn't a fluke accident. Somebody just did it. Somebody killed him.
Mm.
And I remember like yesterday. This was 2013. So I hadn't even, like, I'm just still at the beginning of this personal journey, and that happened. I hadn't even given my heart to the Lord yet, but that happened before then. And I remember calling out to God, because you know what happens, right? You get hit with the grief. I called the guy and says, yo, man, you're going to do something here. He says, I got you. He says, I got you. You don't have to even, your tears. He said, your tears, it's cool, but don't be crying. Don't be walking around here crying with a messed up face, because what you're going to learn about this is how your brother died so you can live. And I'm
Mm.
telling you, when I discovered that's like, that's what he says, son, didn't I raise my son from the dead? Didn't he come back? I said, yeah. He says, so think about death. Is death the end? No. So don't act like it's the end. Act like it's the beginning. And boy, oh boy, that one death changed. I mean, as hard as it was, like it rocked my family. It's just that God did something in me that was totally, like, he didn't do in me in the rest of the family. No, he didn't.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
did it in me. He says, you will lead the charge on this, buddy. So he says, don't worry about this. Don't worry about your bro. His death is so that you can become the guy that you got to be. He wanted to be successful. He didn't know how to do it, but you are going to learn the ways. I'm going to teach you. And God has taught me everything I need to know, about business, about life, about just the things that mean the most to him. And what he really taught me the most is how to become myself, right? Because
Mm.
once we become ourselves, the self that God really planned when the creation was, once you come into that person, like fully come to the person, it's almost like wow, like this is amazing. I can't believe that it took me 40 years. It took me 40 years just to make a decision to just do something different. And that wasn't even different to follow God or anything like that, but I had to make a decision. That's where God comes. God comes to all of our decisions. Doesn't matter what the decisions are. And once you make a decision that it remotely can turn you, all of a sudden you find yourself in this place where, wow, I can't believe it's been 11 years since my bro died. And at that time, I didn't know I was going to write any books. I've written 3 books, got more books to write, got bigger businesses to build. Um, and I'm just excited about life.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I have one more question for you. Are you accepting new clients?
I'm accepting brand new clients. And so there's a couple ways that we can help us. Like if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, we have a brand new coaching program around this book here that we are launching very soon. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the process that will transform you from the inside out, right? There's no sense of learning tactics when the insides are kind of jammed up. So it's going to teach people the process to change on the inside so that everything that they decide to do on the outside becomes so much simpler. I call it the easy way. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you're looking to, move closer to that, and we're going to teach you some cool things around taxes, all that's embedded in it, just how to have like a money mindset. And just because you say you want to make money doesn't mean you have a money mindset. Totally different. Because money, if you didn't know, it's a spiritual thing. And because it's so spiritual, if we don't connect spiritually, then it just eludes us. So that program is going to teach people how to do some amazing things with their life so that they can grow. So that's one program that's new, and we're looking to probably start that on August the 1st.
Okay.
And so we'll be sending some information out about that soon. We also have our kind of bring this back up, Beyond Tax Strategy book. So this book, if you like a entrepreneur already, you're making money already, um, then you should get this book first, right? Before even contacting us, you get this book, and in this book, you'll read is part of my story, part of just how the tax process works, and how it's fun and how it's a game, right? And so at the book, we just lead you to a training where you can join a free training, learn more about the tax game, and then you could, and then at the end of that, we can schedule a call to help you to navigate the whole landscape of taxes. And so those are 2 things that we have, and we have some other things too. But if you have questions, you can. I think the website is beyondfreedomfinancial.com. Beyondfreedomfinancial.com is where you can find more about Beyond Freedom Tax. And if you're looking to learn more about living life on the next level, then I would just say go to thehealthyaccountants.com, where you can inquire, and then you probably be able to schedule an appointment. Or just look out if you follow us on Instagram at The Healthy Accountant. We're on Facebook, The Healthy Accountant. We're on YouTube, The Healthy Accountant. Just find a way to reach out. And then lastly, the email address that you can reach me at is JAY at beyondfreedomfinancial.com.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I will also put that stuff down in the description. Um, Once again, thank you for joining Beyond Outside the Box, where Black business owners flaunt their Black owned business. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.